Senua! Are you hurt?
You don't deserve her help.
Don't show her. Don't let her in.
She sees us. She sees what you are thinking.
She needs you to be strong. Can you?
No.
Can you be?
No.
We need a plan.
She doesn't have a plan. Why does she believe in you? You are nothing.
You don't know what you're doing.
No, Senua.
Death after death after death.
Think.
Death after death after death.
Are you sure? You still want my help?
You can't help her.
You are more than what your father thinks.
You are nothing.
Take her hand.
Trust her. We can do this together.
That depends on the plan.
Go with her.
She is too kind.
Welcome to my review of Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, played on the PC Steam version of the game in 4K max settings. I'm your host, Sinistray1, and of course thanks to Microsoft and Xbox for providing the review code. First things first, I want to say that this game is a masterclass in storytelling. I give it a 9 out of 10. Now that we got that out of the way, let's explain why I feel this is one of the greatest games, in my opinion, to come out this year. Hellblade 2 is a sequel to the 2017 Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, where you play as Senua, one of the strongest female characters I've ever played in my history of video games. Hellblade 2 will roughly take you 6 to 8 hours to complete, of course depending on whether or not you want to grab all the collectibles and explore the rich, linear environments the game has to offer. Combat is very simplistic, but very cinematic. You have a dodge, slash parry, light and heavy attack, and a special focus mode. Once you evade and block different enemies, will build up in time and you can use to take them out. Unlike the first game, you no longer have to face enemies at once, and this game allows you to go one enemy at a time and do cinematic transitions between each fight with new enemies and new ways to take them down. There are two types of collectibles in the game called Lore Stangers and Hidden Faces, which you will find and need to collect during your journey if you want 100%. They also bring more lore to the setting and help to explain what has been going on in the world. I recommend everyone to make sure you play this game with headphones on. The audio engineering in this game is one of the best I have ever heard in my life, and it deserves to be heard with headphones on, especially to get the nuances of all the voices that are inside Senua's head. The combat may be simplistic, but it has a very cool, free flow to it. Certain enemies will do certain things to you. Some will kick, some will hit you, some will grab. Obviously, they have different weapons, and you'll have different styles of enemies too. There's a lot of enemies in this game that you're going to go against, and the cinematic transitions from each kill is amazing and really adds to that cinematic flavor of what this game is really trying to pull off. As you can see, the world is beautiful. All the vast locations that you're going to get to travel around in really feel separate but a part of the same world. This is some of the best voice acting I have ever heard in a video game. Kudos to the team and all the voice actors involved in this project. Again, this game relies on its cinematic storytelling, so you're going to be waiting around a little bit in a couple of different spots for those cinematic story moments to happen. There's also puzzles during the game, which you'll need to figure out. You can do this by just going over to specific sections of the game and then finding out where they line up, and then you'll have to go back to the gate that you need to unlock, just like in the first Hellblade game. A lot of moments you're going to be transferred to these different areas where you're going to have to face off against different style enemies where you have to do particular things in order to take them out. In particular, this enemy, which only can be taken out by using your focus and building it up, or by doing perfect parries to build that focus up, and then unleashing a barrage of hits on them in order to break them as if they were glass. During my time with the game, I was sucked in from start to finish. I really felt the developers knew exactly what us fans wanted and needed changed from the original game, which came out again back in 2017. So it has been quite a bit of time since the original has come out. And the biggest part of the change has been the combat. It's going to feel a lot different, but it has a dynamic mode, which allows you, just like in the original, to change the difficulty depending on how good or how bad you are doing. So I highly recommend you do that difficulty, because sometimes you might be doing really, really well, and then all of a sudden it gets really hard. And having that kind of middleman to know whether or not you're doing good or doing bad, and you keep fluctuating back and forth. Really adds that challenge to the game, which is even more than you could get if you play it on hard. There are collectibles in the game. You have lore stingers and faces. So all you have to do is go up to these specific areas and then use your zoom mode, which is like usually your right trigger. They help to add a little bit more to the lore of the game, as you're going to be hearing a lot of voiceover work once you grab these. There's also faces. The hidden faces are really cool. You just have to search the environment and you'll see faces throughout the entire game. There are a total of 17 faces that you can pick up and 18 lore stones, or, well, they were called lore stones in the original game, but here they're called lore stangers. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I'm probably not. But these really just tie to achievements and adding a little bit more lore to the game. As you can see here in this section, we have some different types of enemies coming along. All of them have different moves, but you'll see a little red emblem that lets you know whether or not you need to dodge that move or you can block it. Now, granted, you can block every single move in this game, but what happens is if it's one of those specific red attacks, the block will actually push you back and put you in not necessarily a death state, but leave you vulnerable for another hit, and then you have to dodge out of the way as quickly as possible. Once you've done a perfect parry, that will happen, and then you need to use your focus, of course, in order to take them down. All enemies will end with cinematic executions, again, leading into another enemy. Some might say, this is a little bit behind in the days that we're funneling one enemy at a time. I totally understand. However, I do like the pace that it provides for the game. One thing to note is the game is done entirely in widescreen format, so just know that you will not have full screen in this game and there's no way to change it. There's chapters in the game. You can go to each and every single chapter to make sure that you can unlock all the achievements. Specifically in those chapters, it'll tell you how many lore stingers as well as hidden faces there are. There's a total of 11 achievements. Most of them are tied to the story, but there are just a few achievements that you need to do, like photo mode, and some other achievements that I don't want to spoil here, but you can, of course, check out the walkthrough that I have on the channel. There are a few boss fights in the game, which add a little bit more challenge, but also there are boss encounters that you do where you might have to, like, use rhythm or wait for a specific timing in order to move. So there's two different types of boss fights, two being the regular type where you actually face off against enemies, and, of course, two being a kind of level-based boss fight. So thanks for watching my review for Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. I would love to know what you guys think of the game. Are you getting it? Do you already have it? Have you played it? Let me know in the comments below. I am so impressed, and I really do feel that this game deserves to be seen by everyone out there. This is cinematic storytelling at its finest, and I highly recommend this game again with a 9 out of 10. Love you all. Thank you so much for watching the review, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.